What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here with more Madden 18 news, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down the coaching adjustments and defensive assignments. Now, really quickly, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below for all your latest Madden 18 news and Madden 18 tips when the game drops. I'll be dropping the best tips every day all week long. Make sure to hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you stay up to date and get notified when I drop new videos. So for today, we're going to break down the coaching adjustments, something that we have been begging EA to put in the game for years. Coaching adjustments was actually a big feature in the NCAA football series, so many of you that have played NCAA back when it existed, y'all will be somewhat familiar with this, but it has been tweaked, things have been added, it's been upgraded, and finally put into Madden, and defensive assignments are also back, something that should have never been taken out of the game, but I digress. At least we have it back. So let's quickly jump into it. Basically what coaching adjustments are is it's going to allow you to set your defense to play a certain way and set your offense to play a certain way. There's going to be pros and cons to this. So let's go over the first defensive assignments. There's something called the ball in air defense. Basically, when the ball is in the air, how do you want the AI to play it? Now, you can set them to play the football. The pro to this is you have an increased chance of an interception. The con is you have an increased chance of a wide receiver catching the ball and an increased chance of a broken tackle. So the fact that you're playing the ball means you do have that higher rate of an interception, but if you miss it, the wide receiver is likely going to catch it and break a tackle because you were more focused on the ball than the wide receiver. You can also set it to play the wide receiver instead of playing the ball. The AI will play the receiver instead of going for the ball. The pro to this is you have a decreased chance of a broken tackle. So if the wide receiver does catch it, they likely aren't going to get any yards after the catch. The con is you have no chance of an interception when you set your defense to play the receiver. So you're going to eliminate yards after catch with this, but you're not going to get interceptions unless you are manually intercepting it yourself. The computer won't go for the interception. The third thing you can set them to do is swat the ball. The AI will attempt to swat the ball in two-man catch situations. The pro to this is an increased chance of knocking the ball down, of it being an incomplete pass. The con to this is the same as the last one. You have no chance of an interception. So this is probably the safest way to play it because you won't get an interception, but you're pretty much going to give yourself the best chance of it being an incomplete pass. So this is probably how I would choose to have the AI play because I'm going to go for the interception manually myself. So in a situation, for whatever reason, where I can't go for the interception, I would rather the computer just go for the swat. That way, I'm likely to get an incomplete pass. They're not, and, if they were to catch it, they're not going to probably get too many yards after catch. So that's probably the safest option. Now, speaking of option, when it comes to option plays, you have two ways you can play that with your coaching adjustments. You have conservative and you have aggressive. With conservative, the pro is the defense is going to focus more on the QB. The con is they're not going to focus as much on the dive man or the running back that'll be having the ball pitched to him. So you have a better chance at stopping the QB in his tracks before he can get anywhere. But if he does get the ball out, the running back's going to be wide open and probably get some good yardage. If you set them to aggressive, they are going to focus on the running back, the guy that's going to be receiving the pitch. The con is the QB is going to be left wide open. So if you have a guy that's smart and knows how to read these things and he's on the QB and he notices that you're playing aggressive, he'll be able to get some yards with the QB. So it's kind of all about the guy you're playing. You got to feel him out and see how do you want to tweak this. Do you want to play the running back or do you want to play the QB? Most people don't run the option that often in Madden, so this won't be something that is probably used as much. We won't have to worry about that. Pass rush. Now, you have two options with pass rush. You can set the pass rush conservative or aggressive. The pro to having a conservative pass rush is the outside rushers will play QB contain and the AI defensive line will look to swat passes. So if you set them to conservative, they're not going to get as much pressure. That's the con. You're not going to get any jump snaps and the QB is going to have more time in the pocket. But the QB is not going to be able to roll out as much, and if they throw a ball over the middle, you have a chance of your guys like J.J. Watt getting up and swatting it down because they're playing more balanced. Now, if you set your pass rush to aggressive, which most people probably will do, the pro is that the AI pass rushers will attempt to jump the snap more often. The con is there's a higher chance of an offside penalty. So you can set them to aggressive, which means you will by default get more sacks, but you will likely get more offsides penalties as well. So it's a gamble. And they added a new addition to this. Pass rushers will also see an increased chance of fatigue. So if you set them to aggressive and they're coming hard every play, they're going to get tired a little bit quicker too. So you're going to have to sub them out more often. So just little things to think about there when you're deciding how you want to set your pass rush. Stripping the ball. Again, you have conservative and you have aggressive. The pro to conservative is it lowers the chance of the running back or the receiver breaking a tackle. The con is you will never attempt to strip the ball. So if you set this to conservative, your broken tackles will be way down, but you'll never strip the ball. If you set it to aggressive, it's going to be the exact opposite. There's going to be a higher chance of the pro to this is there's going to be a higher chance of the ball getting stripped out and you getting a fumble. The con is they're going to break a lot more tackles too. So this is just kind of up to your play style. Are you okay with giving up more broken tackles in the with the chance of getting a couple fumbles a game, or would you rather get no fumbles a game but have very little chance of broken tackles? Personally, me probably I don't know. I could go either way on this because fumbles are game changers, but broken tackles can be game changers too in crucial points of the game. So that one, that one's going to be a toss up. I feel like tackling again. We have conservative and we have aggressive. If you play conservative, the pro is that the AI defenders will tackle conservatively. They will wrap up, and they probably won't get too many broken tackles. The con is you increase chances of allowing yards after contact. So I guess conservative actually means I don't know. That one they don't really spell that one out too good. So you're going to tackle conservatively. So I guess I don't know. That really don't make sense. I feel like if you're tackling conservatively, you shouldn't be giving up yards after contact because you're kind of just playing balance. So that one doesn't really make much sense to me. If you set it aggressive, it says that the AI defenders will attempt to hit stick tackles for higher fumble chance. The con is there's a higher chance of missed tackles. That one makes sense. So if you set aggressive, your AI defenders will attempt to hit stick, which will cause more fumbles for you or a higher chance of fumbles. The con is you're going to miss a lot of tackles too. So I'm not a big fan of missing tackles, so I would probably play conservative on that one. Okay, that's pretty much the defensive adjustments. Now, offensive adjustments, ball carrier. Again, they're pretty much all aggressive and conservative. If you play conservative ball carrier, this means the ball carrier will protect the ball. He has a decreased chance of fumbling. The con is he's not going to break as many tackles. I'm big on protecting the ball, so I would rather give up the broken tackles but knowing that I won't fumble the ball nearly as much. If you set your ball carrier to aggressive, he's going to break a lot more tackles, but he's also going to have an increased chance of fumbles. So like I said, I would go conservative because fumbling the ball is too much of a game changer for me. The broken tackles aren't that important as far as I'm concerned. Blocking, we have conservative and aggressive again. The pro is there's a decreased chance of a holding penalty when you play conservative. The con is you're going to hold your blocks less for run and pass. So if you play conservative blocking, you won't get as many penalties, but you won't have as good of blocking. So that's a toss-up there. If you play your blocking aggressive, you will hold your blocks longer. You will have better run blocking. You will have more time in the pocket, but you will have an increased chance of holding penalties, which those are drive changers because that's 10 yards right there that you're losing on a holding penalty. So I would probably play that conservative because I don't want to deal with holding penalties. That'll probably be something that's more important for like sim mode and franchises and CFMs where penalties are called. Because in online head-to-head competitive mode, I don't think they usually call holding penalties. So that's going to be more for the sim modes in the franchise. Deep pass catching, conservative. The pro is receivers will attempt to rack catch, increases run after catch chances. The con, they increased interception chances. So if you play your deep pass catching to conservative, you will attempt to get more yards after the catch. But with that also comes a higher chance of getting intercepted. If you play aggressive on deep pass catching, the receivers will attempt to aggressive catch more often. The con is it decreases their run after chance catch. So if you play your deep pass catching to aggressive, you will make more aggressive catches, but you will never get yards after the catch. So that's a toss-up. That just kind of depends on how you want to play it. And then the last one for the offense, is intermediate pass catching. So you have conservative. When you play conservative intermediate pass catching, it says the receivers will attempt a possession catch. The con is it decreases the run after catch chances. So it's the same as the aggressive catch. If you go for a possession catch, you're going to secure the ball a lot more often, but you're not going to get yards after the catch. If you set the intermediate pass catching to aggressive, it says the receivers will attempt to rack catch or aggressive catch. So bigger catches and possibly yards after the catch. The con is you have an increased chance of being knocked out. So in the intermediate part of the field, if you're going for big catches or rack catches, you have a bigger chance of getting hit sticked and losing the ball, either dropping it or fumbling it. If you go, if you go conservative here, you have an increased chance of just catching the ball and getting down. That's how I play the intermediate area of the field. I always go conservative. I like to possession catch because it's just the safest way to get yards. Now, the last thing here is cornerback matchups. This is basically defensive assignments. So you can set your cornerbacks up to play receivers by there's certain metrics here. So you can set it up by overall. The highest rated cornerbacks will match up with the highest rated receivers. So your highest rated cornerback is on the highest rated receiver. Your second highest rated cornerback is on the second highest rated receiver. That's pretty self-explanatory. You can set them up by speed, so your fastest cornerback will match up with the fastest wide receiver, and so on. You can do it by height. Tallest cornerback matches up with the tallest receiver, and so on. This one right here is interesting. You can do it by route running. So the highest rated man coverage cornerback will match up versus the highest rated route runner. That one's very interesting. That's something I would look into because this year, man defense is supposed to be improved, so putting your best man coverage corners on your best route runners will definitely cause for a lot less separation. I think that'll be very interesting. And the last one here is you can set it up by depth chart. So basically, you can go into your depth chart and say, hey, I want my number 1 cornerback in the number 2 spot because where his number 2 cornerback is, I always want this guy on him. So that's just like taking it a step further. I probably wouldn't set it up that way. I'd either probably go by overall, by speed, or by route running more than anything. I think those are just the easiest and most effective ways to do it. And that's basically it for the defensive assignments and coaching adjustments. Very great addition to Madden. Glad to have it in the game. It's going to give us more control than ever over the outcomes of the game. More control over the computer players as well as our own players. Definitely kudos to EA for putting that in. And that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, you know the drill. Just like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.